Hello and welcome to today's episode of Shift the Field TV. I'm Darla LeDoux, and today I want to share a conversation about the heaviness of scarcity, the heaviness of scarcity. And I'm going to share it in the form of a story. But first, I just want to ask some questions. Are you someone who sees the world as abundant, including financially abundant and abundance of opportunities and possibility and expansion? Or are you someone who tends to see scarcity from a belief that that's what's available to you? That's this conversation today, because for me, I was not brought up in an environment of abundance. My mom was on welfare. We stood in line for cheese. That was my early formative years. I used to help my mom balance the checkbook, and it was constantly about not enoughness. And so that was my filter moving into life. And I've done so much to transform my experience of life to be able to do what I want when I want without fear. And that's really what I want for you. I want to share a story. I was at this event over the weekend, and it was like a concert and channeling spiritual experience. So there was music and meditation, etc. The host was Lee Harris, if you know who that is. He's got a great monthly energy update he does. Definitely check him out. In the event, Lee guided us in a meditation and a visualization. I cried a lot. I'm not even sure everything that released, but I know there was some deep release, and so some transformation took place. The first thing he said that I remember really clearly, he guided us to breathe and feel our bodies, and he said something to the effect of, "What has your body been through?" And when he said that, I noticed I immediately felt heavy, and I was taken back to an earlier time in my life. An earlier time in my life, I was living in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I had purchased a house that was in foreclosure. So it was a hot mess. It was really disgusting. And of course, I walked in that house and I saw possibility and potential, and I thought, this is the house for me. I bought the house. I was dating someone at the time, and we were going to fix it up together and live there. And within a few weeks of starting to work on this project together, our relationship fell apart. It became really clear we were not going to be on the same page. And so in true Darla fashion, I had bought the house myself with my money, so it became my house and my project. And there was so much really beautiful about this house. You know, I got to be creative and make the space my own. Everything about it was scarcity, right? From choosing the foreclosed on house that was the cheapest on the street, making do with the materials I had, for example. And, so I wasn't in an abundance mindset. I did not know how to create more money. I was working as a teacher, and I had left my corporate job as an engineer to teach high school. And even that decision, I'm clear I was not meant to be an engineer at Procter & Gamble for my life's path. And, I can see in retrospect that a part of me left that job to become a teacher because I had some guilt or shame around having that kind of abundance. Nobody in my family had a professional job where they made a lot of money. And so I left, I taught high school, and I bought this house and I worked on it myself. And that was the life, right? So during this meditation last weekend, when he had us go into this space of what has our body been through, I immediately felt the heaviness of that experience, the heaviness of scarcity. And I didn't know at that time that I was living in scarcity, because we can't see what's in our blind spot. And I didn't know there was another way. I didn't know that someone like me could create abundance. I didn't know that someone like me could. I now have put on my vision board building a custom home, right? A brand new custom home. Could someone like me do that, right? And so I was living in this scarcity that felt very heavy, and I could feel it in my body. in this visualization, like what my life experience was like when I viewed everything coming at me as scarce through the filter of scarcity. The other day, I was listening to a podcast, and in the podcast, the woman who was being interviewed, I can't remember who it was, but it was Kate Northrup's podcast. She was interviewing this woman who spoke about her relationship and how she got married young. And she said, I grew up in a small town in the middle of nowhere, and that's what you did, because good men are scarce in that paradigm. And so if you find one, you lock it down. This was what she said, right? As I was hearing that, it started to add to my realization of the scarcity with which I grew up with and what that filter was during that time. So I had done this project with a man I was dating, and then I actually ended up dating and marrying one of my contractors who put in my tile in my house. Again, the filter, the heaviness of the filter of you need that, right? You need that man in your life in order to survive as a woman. And that feeling of you better, secure this and check that box. In the meditation, I started to go back further from that moment, right? It was like that moment of renovating my house, marrying my contractor, that season of my life, which, by the way, my marriage lasted 6 months. I started to go back to childhood and those similar heavy feelings of growing up in a town of 502. My stepdad worked at the mine. He attempted to do various jobs that he loved, and they didn't go well, and he didn't make enough money, and he was really struggling, and ended up working at the mine, which was like the only place that people worked that had any form of abundance. And it was hard work and dirty work. I actually worked there as a college student. The scarcity of opportunity that's just built in to the location where I grew up, as well as watching my mom bounce from relationship to relationship between my dad and my stepdad, and watching her grasp for that feeling of security with limited options, right? You just take what you can get. And that feeling, that cellular memory came rushing in this visualization. And in the process, I know I released that familiar feeling of bracing to tolerate what's coming, because it's the only option. You take what you can get. And I'm wondering if this is resonating. I'm wondering if you've ever experienced scarcity of money, of resources, of opportunity, of partnership, potential partners in your life, of team members. I've been doing these interviews with business owners, and this is one of the things I have been hearing a lot is like, I don't know how to find a good team member. I don't know, like there's a scarcity, but the universe is abundant. We cannot have a desire without the way to fulfill it being available. But we're not taught this. I was not taught this. And the more limited the environment you grew up in, the harder it is to actually imagine that more is possible, that you could create a business with a team that you love, that you could be the source of abundance for yourself and others and a team, that you could build a custom home or be bi-coastal or whatever that dream is that's yours to do, because if source has brought it to you, it's yours to do. But scarcity in our body doesn't even let us vibrationally match with that in any way, right? When I could feel into the me that I was, and this me started a fucking business. Like, what? How did I ever get the courage to do that? I have no idea. But the vibration that I was in that moment could have never matched with the possibility of building a custom home. It was like, no way. Right? I wouldn't have even seen that it could happen for someone like me. If it's in the body, the match may come in, but we'll lose it, right? The money may come in, but we'll pay it out. What needs to happen for you? What needs to shift for you? What do you need to activate within yourself to up-level your ability to receive abundance, to be a vibrational match for the things that are yours to have, that are truly aligned with you at a soul level? What needs to shift? If I can support you in that, come get in a room with me, because I'm so excited to share it with you. The me that I went back to in that visualization, I can't imagine living in that vibration. I can't, I know I did it. I know it was my truth at the time, and I know I did the best I could. I was, creative and optimistic and all the things, but I was freaking heavy. I can't imagine living with that in my body today. And I'm curious, do you have something like that where you can't even recognize the you that you were? What if looking back on today, you're going to go, I can't even recognize the me that I was before I made a commitment to own my magic, to elevate my vibration, to be a match for all that I desire? What if this right now is going to be your, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was me moment? If that were true, what would you want to create? What's possible next? Let me know. Let me know in a comment, ping me on social. What is your next level of abundance? And we'll see you in the next video.